Hello and welcome to episode 51 of the Kicking Butt podcast. Today I am joined by the wonderful Shunya. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for coming on to our delightful little podcast.
No, thank you for having me. I love what you're doing here. It's great. It's
awesome. That's
no,
nice,
it's great.
mate.
It's much needed.
Yeah, I think, I love listening to all the music that's going on in Manchester.
And I love listening to the sound of my own voice.
Me
so
too,
I'm
yeah.
going to be replaying this over and over and over again while I'm in the bath going, oh, I'm wonderful. How wonderful am I? I'm going to listen to it again.
Have it on like whilst you're going to sleep.
Yeah. ASMR Alan to Alan.
Alan SMR. There's something in there, I think. Yeah.
Meta ASMR.
Yeah. So, Alan / Shunya. For the people at home that might not know who you are, tell us a little about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
I am a musician, music producer, and I love making a racket. Would you want me to go back to the womb times, or just a general overview?
Just a general overview, man. You know?
I make music for a living, very thankfully, and very lucky to do so. I wake up and I produce music in a studio for myself or for other people. And then at night I gig, hopefully. And then during the summer, usually touring my tits off and not having a lot of sleep and getting on planes and going all over the shop.
So you live in the music dream in a way?
Yeah, the very hazy, sometimes hungover one.
Yeah.
Both in sleep and actually other bits. But anyway, no, it's I'm very lucky. I do wake up every day and I'm like, yes, just go to the studio.
Yeah.
I'm loving it at the moment.
Nice.
Especially I have I'm in a new space. It's the first time I'm in an external space, studio space in Longsight.
Oh right, what's the studio?
Longsight Business Park. So do you know Mark Lewis?
I do know Mark Lewis.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's his studio.
Oh, cool.
And so I'm going in I'm involved in his space now, and I'm kind of basically, because he's not in it a whole lot because he has another studio now in Yellow Arch Studios in Sheffield, which is another really great space. It's a bit like here, but it's got loads going on, loads of art spaces and music and all that. So he's there a lot of the time. So I kind of said, look, let me in on it, and I can. I'll be using it all the time, and
cool,
you know yourself. Studios need maintaining, leads need fixing, and there's lots that can just need the piano needs tuning or whatever. So having that separation has been like just amazing, because I've been kind of producing in my bedroom for I suppose I've been producing since about half my life, because I'm 30 now. I first got Pro Tools when I was 15.
Okay.
So it's
that time.
So it's like, wow, I've been doing this for half my life. It was that kind of when I hit 30. Yeah, I hit 30 a few months ago. Boy, how did I hit it? I was like, it's time for a change.
Sure.
And it's been just night and day in terms of the productivity and also just the mental health and my approach to having separation. And when I'm there, I'm there, and then when I'm at home,
you're at home.
I'm chilling.
Yeah. Do you think it's like has it improved the process?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just night and day, like
really?
I said. Yeah.
Okay.
It's as well. It's good because I still have. I'll like practice and dick about. Can I curse?
What, you can fucking curse as much as you want.
Fuck yeah! There's I like to dick about. I'll have like synths or modular synth at home, and dick about with toys essentially. But then when I'm going to Mark's place, there's a very very clear intention.
Okay.
I'm going to Mark's and I'm going to mix just this track and I'm going to finish it. And there's no bits, there's no toys, there's no instruments. It's just me. Like you said, yourself, editing, and just getting things done. Because I think before the process was a bit too convoluted, in that I was surrounded by too much mess, and there's instruments everywhere, and I'd be in mix mode. And I'd be like, oh, maybe it just needs a little bit more of a synth, then you never get anything done because you're just flipping from mode to mode. But obviously, when it's a self-contained thing because it's me doing everything. I had to be quite strict in how do I compartmentalize all the different processes of actually writing and finishing a track. You know, are we doing sound design? Are we doing the arrangement? Are we doing the lyrics? Are we mixing now? Mixing should be always at the very end.
Yeah.
But I was always just kind of going, oh, I'll just tweak that kick drum while writing the lyrics.
Okay.
And it was like, ugh. So now it's just lovely going to Mark's and going, yeah, I'm just going for 4 hours and I'll just mix this track. And boy howdy, it's working. Because do you know what I mean? Because there's no distraction.
Sure.
It's distractions basically. That's what it is. And also being at home, you are distracted by. It's not much, but the cat will be meowing and clawing the door. I love Oisin, but he can be a bastard sometimes. So, yeah, having that. Yeah, don't even own a dog. I own a cat, and I'm complaining about him.
Is it a dick cat? Like...
He's a lovely cat, but he gets very needy and he needs cuddles and he needs a lot of attention.
Okay, that's fair
in a
enough.
good way.
See, I was never really a cat person, but I'm soon to be moving in a house with a cat, so I've had to acclimatise myself to the cat nature.
Yeah.
And this one's called Lucy, and she's just a bit like, she's a mixed bag, really. She's lovely, but then the just occasional swipe at you and stuff.
Yeah, I love a cat bap.
Yeah.
Yeah, always on their terms with cats.
Yeah.
It's a lesson in consent, as my partner says. Yeah, you can't pick them up whenever you want. They need to come to you.
Yeah.
So, they're not as malleable as you'd like them to be.
Yeah. So, you say you first got Pro Tools when you were 15. Was that when you started this kind of journey? Like, did you come from a musical background?
Yeah, so my dad's a music producer as well, and cool. We have a studio in the back, like a purpose-built one. It was in the utility for ages, like like storing buckets and mops, and then there was a mixing desk, and he just had bits of equipment that he kind of accumulated, and then we eventually. I say we. I didn't pay for any of this shit. He built a studio that again was separate from the house. Again, separation away from my mum, who's clawing her hair out from the amount of noise and stuff, because it was a busy house as well. There's 5 of us, 7 in total.
Whoa.
So lots of activity, lots of music. He got me Pro Tools when I was 15 because I was definitely interested in it. I was definitely interested in more of the techie side.
Okay.
But when I got it, I just fell in love with it. I was just absolutely obsessed, glued to it. I was doing everything, trying everything and everything. So I think even though I wasn't writing electronic music per se when I was 15, I was still using the software as an electronic interface, i.e., putting the violin or putting my bass through it and reversing it. And I was still really interested. I think I was subconsciously always really interested in mangling sound.
Sure.
And what it does, what you can do to sound in a post-processing environment. I was just that always just gave me goosebumps. So I think it was inevitable that I was going to get into electronic music, because it's a whole world that is, your software is your instrument, But before that, I played. I still play, obviously, but I started violin at 6.
Okay, right.
And then I started playing cello at 10, and then at 13 really, I started playing double bass, and then electric bass, and then I kind of kept them all up basically.
Right.
Much to the gratitude to my parents, because they were like, "Don't give it up. We've spent all this money in music lessons."
Right. Yeah.
Because when I discovered bass, it was like, "I'm gonna play in a rock band, gonna get loads of chicks." Yeah, awesome. I was growing my hair. I was listening to Nirvana. It was that stage.
Okay. Yeah. We've all been there, mate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a very emotional, oh, woe is me time. No one gets me. But I was still, I was playing in rock bands and metal bands and stuff. And then I was still going to orchestras and playing in quartets.
Okay.
Playing violin and cello, mainly cello. But just still kept them up, and then did all my grades and stuff. And then it really paid off. And I still to this day really thank my parents for encouraging me to keep up the F-hole side of the family. Because that's what I do now. As a side gig, especially over lockdown, I just did loads of string arranging and string orchestrating for other people's projects and albums. And people came to me, it's like, can you put I want strings on that blah blah blah. So I'd layer up violins, violas, cellos, sometimes double bass to create an ensemble. Did some stuff with John Ellis
Oh, nice.
and then so yeah, again that's just a thing I can do on my own in my bedroom, and it was an extra few bob, and I really enjoy it as well. Like I really get a big creative buzz out of it, and a lot of that heavy string arranging has kind of made its way into my music now.
Yeah.
Just kind of like owning my past and kind of not trying to divert myself from, you know, just this heavily classical influence that I kind of just did, but I didn't really I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought. Do you know what I mean? Because I was like, yeah, violin's stupid, whatever. Yeah, oh, Brahms, I want to play Metallica. And then it was, now, like, you know, a lot older, I was like, oh, this music is sick.
Yeah,
you know? And I'm going back and listening to a lot of classical and playing a lot more classical.
Okay,
It's rekindled it. And
right.
It's great. It's just a kind of a full circle moment where a lot of these childhood stuff are just kind of, I don't know, colliding with the sound that I'm doing now, basically.
Interesting.
You know?
So, in terms of like, so your dad was a producer, is that right? A producer?
He's a music producer and a guitar player.
Cool.
He plays guitar for Van Morrison at the moment.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
So, yeah.
So, who else has he worked with?
His most notable gig, the gig that kind of, as my mom says, bought us the house.
Right.
Was he was the MD and guitarist for Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance, doing all the
amazing,
doing all the you know the high grade Irish dancing gigs.
Yeah,
they were huge, man. They were doing Red Rocks and like stadium touring.
Yeah.
So for a lot of my childhood, I didn't really see him because he was, you know, you're talking like 6-month tours.
Sure.
Like gone. You know, you'd be in Japan for 2 weeks, and then you're in South Africa for 2 weeks, and then you're in Brazil and North America, like just big gigs. Because that stuff is huge. I didn't realize how big Irish dancing.
Yeah, that's funny, isn't it?
He's American, that explains it. It's business.
Nice.
He's a good businessman, Michael Flatley.
So in terms of like the music that was like playing in the house, then, did your parents just sort of like, were they showing you things, or were you just kind of picking up your own things as you went along?
No, they weren't showing me like, oh, listen to this. I mean, there was a lot of Police, there's a lot of Beatles, there's a lot of Steely Dan, and then there was kind of a lot of Irish stuff naturally. I mean, Irish music was just always around the house, just because my dad would have been involved in playing with a lot of Irish musicians that are still working today. You know, really, really world class players, and also Ray Fean. Ray Fean is a phenomenal, I suppose, like Irish Celtic drummer, if you will.
Ray Fean.
How
do you spell that?
I think the claim of fame is he was potentially going to join Def Leppard as well, because he was like this really kind of, you know, very characterful kind of rock, you know, classic rock drummer. But he did a lot of the river dance stuff, and he plays baron and drums at the same time. And
what's baron?
Baron is the Celtic. It's like an Irish frame drum that you hit with a beater, and it sounds like.
Is it a circular one?
Yeah. It's another iteration of a frame drum, but instead of playing with your hands like you do, like with the Persian frame drums, you play it with the stick. Like a soft beater. It's really beautiful. So he was always in and out of the house, and he was a big influence, like, you know, in terms of like, you know, getting me G'd up about like certain things about, I think just the lifestyle of being a musician, and it's not all that bad. You can do this and you can do this. Yeah, I think he was quite influential as well in getting me to keep up strings and such. So just music was around the house a lot. I mean, the only thing that I think that was a big, huge moment when I was getting into bass was my dad showing me Weather Report, and showing me Jacko. Showed me Teen Town, that was quite like I still remember to the day. I know exactly where I was sitting in the kitchen and my emotions when he showed me Jacko. I was like, it sounds like a synthesizer. Like just the power and the consistency of his playing. It was like it blew. Again, another kind of thing that blew me away. But that was probably the most significant thing that he like showed me. It was like, you got to check this guy out.
Okay.
And then from then it was like, I think that spurred the jazz improvisational thing with the bass. Do you know?
Yeah.
Coming from that.
So, you know, the thing that we call Shunya. When did that sort of seed begin to grow? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, it came from when I first moved to Manchester. What is it? 12 years now, maybe 11 at a push. I went clubbing, went to the raves, and started listening to a lot of jungle and drum and bass, and then got kind of heavier into like more electronic stuff, Aphex Twin and Boards of Canada and like that kind of Warp Records stuff, Flying Lotus, and I just wanted it all. I just ate up as much electronic stuff as I could, because in Ireland at the time there wasn't really an underground electronic music scene. There is now,
Right.
but like trying to go to a jungle night in Limerick, you know, when I was growing up, like forget about it. It just wasn't a thing.
Right.
So when I first went out clubbing in Manchester and first heard jungle playing through a sound system, and again I still remember it like, you know, as bright as day, it was just mind blown, especially with the sound system culture as well, and the power of the bass. And then I just started dicking about with making tunes on my laptop and trying to emulate that, like doing really awful jungle stuff like that's unacceptably bad. They will never see the light of day. But it was a kind of a curiosity into self-contained electronic music production.
Sure.
And then bit by bit I was like, well, I'll just sing over the top of it, and then I'll just play the violin over it, and I'll just play bass, you know. And then it was kind of a mixture of how could I flesh out something that was made on a laptop,
Yes.
and then somehow soup together all of these different elements into one thing. And it turns out to be very messy, and it goes all over the place, and people are like, I don't really know what it is, what genre is it? I think now it's kind of starting to go a bit almost more Irish trad in some respects, because there's still some influence of Irish in there. That's kind of coming out a bit more, I think. But I don't know, man, it's just a big soup of my classical background, clubbing in Manchester, you know, being a electronic bedroom producer, how to improvise in a jazz capacity, because that's what I did in Salford. I played lots of jazz. And then I'll play with a band. I play with Liviu, who's on keys, and he's an amazing improviser, but also has this kind of, I suppose, background in bass music, I guess.
Right.
Do you know? Like from clubbing and whatnot. And just playing with like MCs and grime and all that kind of stuff, and kind of doing kind of subby, you know, because it's like how can a group of musicians emulate that kind of bedroom producer?
Sure, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you see a lot of that nowadays. It's very trendy for like drummers to play more like a drum machine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of like the new jazz sound in some ways here in a lot of London. You know, it's kind of coming back, I think, in that way. So it's a big mess. It's quite frankly,
it's a hot mess.
It is a hot mess, but I really enjoy it. I mean, the thing is, it's just especially when I play solo, some of it's improvised and some of it is chaotic, and the Ableton craps up and things go wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of going, but people seem to enjoy that more than something that's really polished and slick. And because it's almost like when it's too polished and slick, it's kind of like, well, he's just pressing play. You don't really know what's going on.
Sure.
But if I'm really working with the what's going on with the sound, really getting involved in the sound, and if it's just on the edge of falling apart, that's where I want to be.
You want to be riding the danger.
I want to be riding it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just more fun.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
So, like, do you primarily just work on your own, like when you're writing and stuff, or is there any sort of like collaboration process?
Yeah, I'm a bit stubborn. I should really, and more recently, I've been just kind of asking my friends just even to kind of listen over stuff, because it'd be quite a lonely process sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important to kind of get people you trust involved in some way towards the end of the process of a song. Can you give me feedback on these lyrics or these shit or whatever? So there is that. But then in terms of like getting people involved, the biggest collaborator would have been Hayley Williams.
Oh yeah,
Not Hayley Williams from Paramore, though she is great. Yeah, Hayley. She's now. We did a good few tunes, like an EP I did back in 2016, and that was the one that got played on Radio 1, and like Hugh Stevens spinned it a few times, and actually it kind of went around. A few DJs played it, and I didn't know.
You didn't know
because everyone was. Because I'm not on Twitter, or I rarely check. I'm just not interested in Twitter.
I'm not a Twitter person.
I just can't. I've never gone into it. I don't check it. And all these DJs were like tagging me, now playing blah blah blah, like Hugh Stevens and I can't remember the woman. So they were like messaging me. It's like, this track is sick, blah blah blah. Can you send it to someone? Can you send it to so and so? And like, I just put it on fresh on the net, and then it just kind of got picked up.
Right. Yeah.
But that was a real collaboration between me and Hayley, because her vocal in that is very like, you know, it's the thing that if I didn't have her, it wouldn't have gotten the love because she's amazing. She's got a very, very distinctive, very powerful kind
her
of
voice
like,
is great, man.
you know. But she's off doing touring with like Example at the moment, smashing it, doing all the big Radio 1 pop, big vocal kind of thing.
Right, man.
So she's smashing it.
Crazy.
Go on, Hayley.
So you've done a little thing with GoGo Penguin, is that right? Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was. Oh, this was. Yeah, was it 2 years ago? Man, it's the COVID time haze. Was this last year or was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was last year. It was a remix album, but it was a kind of they wanted to do a new type of remix album instead of just kind of releasing a single and getting a few producers just to bum. They wanted to make a conceptual, I suppose, piece of art that would be kind of like listened to as a whole album.
Oh, okay. Right.
And they got basically loads of really amazing electronic producers and composers almost to get involved. And I was a part of it, very luckily. So they kind of asked, they didn't kind of ask, they asked, they got like Square Pusher was on it, and Cornelius, Machine Drum, James Holden and Nathan Fake, 808 State, Graham Massey, who's a Manchester legend. And it was lovely. It was really amazing to be a part of, because Square Pusher is one of my biggest idols. So just having my name and beside him in a thing. Sorry, I'm going off here.
It's okay, man.
Tell it to shut up. Did you let the cat out? Yes, I did. So it was really lovely, and it was lovely to be a part of a record, an LP. Do you know what I mean? So you got the vinyl in the post, and
nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was lovely to be asked to do it. And
in terms of like your process, in terms of like, so you're handed that track to do your thing with, or in comparison to like doing something where it's your thing, it's bare bones, is the process similar in terms of like how you deconstruct it and pull it back together? Or, you know?
Yeah, it depends. Like anything, it's like how do I feel on the day?
Sure. Yeah.
So what's my mood on the day, and then how can you, or what am I listening to at the time, or kind of trying to think about it too much, mainly kind of going on instincts. But for that one, for the GoGo Penguin one, I really wanted to go to town on it. I was like, I'm just going to throw everything at this.
Sure.
So it's kind of divided into two parts almost. And the first part has a kind of more of a string quartet reharmonization of the harmony of the tune. So I kind of wanted to put my stamp of the tonal palette I use, i.e. strings, and kind of start it with that, just really bare bones, and then it kind of slowly morphs and speeds up into a kind of a triplet, almost like a fast jig, kind of, and then it turns into kind of a bit of a banger, basically, to kind of make it blend in with the electronic setting that, you know, because there's some bangers on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that in terms of the go-go one, that was the approach for that. And then I suppose the difference in just writing solo, I suppose it's got singing on it. You know what I mean? I like being able to write instrumental as well as that. You know, it's nice having the flexibility to be able to switch between.
Sure.
If I'm writing a tune, like, do you know what? I don't feel vocals should be on this, because it's like, I don't know. Songs are kind of like, every song is so unique. They're kind of like children. Some of them are really stubborn, and some of them do exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
But some songs are just like, nah, it doesn't need vocals, or if it will have something maybe more abstract, like a vocal sample. But yeah, I like that, because I don't feel confident calling myself a singer at all. I sing because it's the only way to get the song out, but I don't like it. I kind of like it.
I think you've got a great singing voice.
Thank you. I'm getting over it a bit. I'm like a little kid clutching his blanket, you know. I don't want to sing. So I just need to get over myself, to be honest. But I do enjoy it. It's good to sing. It's good for you.
It is good for you.
Fills your brain with oxygen. Lots of breathing, and
yeah.
there is something very visceral about it. But yeah, it's nice to be able to write something that's a song, and then also being asked to get involved with remixes and still have it under the same alias without going, well, this is more electronic, so I need to, you know, have a different alias for remixing. Because, you know, just because you got asked to do a remix doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be like a club house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because also I've done remixes before where I've just reorchestrated it as opposed to remixed it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I've just gotten the vocal and added strings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just whatever. It's just kind of recontextualizing a tune, basically flipping it on its head. You could look at the tune this way, or you could look at it that way.
Cool.
But yeah, I really like it. I love remixing.
In terms of like, and that seems to be a common theme with people that work on their own stuff. Like, how do you keep something that you've been working on for, I don't know how long it takes you to piece something, like, how do you keep it fresh and be able to like listen to it and be like, and to also like to decide this is done?
Yeah.
Because I think that's quite hard if you.
It is very hard, and honestly, that's my downfall, which I'm really kind of learning and having a word with myself, because of some tunes that are like just been there, sat in a hard drive for 3 years. It's kind of like, come on. And I mean, it's like what you're saying about John Ellis when he was here. He was like, your first album's like, it needs to be, and he's like, stop being precious, just get it out.
I
and
like
also,
that you said that.
No one gives a shit. Like, no one gives a shit if your kick drum is slightly, the kick drum needs to be just, mwah, mwah, that kick drum is, mwah. No one gives a shit. Like, my granny is not listening to that kick drum. Like, no one listens to your music the way you do. That type of listening where it's like, giving yourself a hernia. It's like, oh, come on. And I had a word with myself. I was like, you're just take yourself so fucking seriously that you can't finish any of this music because you are afraid of failure. It's like, I was like, I know this in myself. So I've given myself a bit of a slap on the wrist, and a lot of these songs, some of the tunes I did there, they've just been cooking for ages. I'm going to be spending this month and next month just finalizing them and getting them out the door. So in terms of keeping it fresh, the first thing, just like taking a break from it, giving yourself an ear break, and then just injecting a bit of life into them. So I had a wonderful artist called Shunya, who's an Austrian singer-songwriter.
Okay.
I got her into the studio and I just said, can you just add some vocals over on top of my voice for some choruses, just to just inject a bit of difference, a bit of freshness, give it a bit of zest, a bit of some lime, just to brighten it up. And then I re-recorded some drums. My mate Rob Turner, he's going to be doing some drums. Or he's already done some drums. Again, just to give it another lift, another human in the room, shaking sound, making different vibration, but not vibration, man, but like vibration and literally give it another life. Not that I'm against vibration, man. You know what I mean? I'm into that stuff as well. Add some more ingredients to it and just take stuff out. You don't be afraid to delete stuff.
Yeah.
Just like, let's scrap that. Let's try again. Let's try this. You know, be brutal. Kill your babies, as they say. You know, I think sorry to be like, if I'm going a bit jargony here, but if you're working like in a DAW like Logic, it's good just to bounce stuff. You know, bounce
like a whole track.
Like a whole track, or I'm going to just group all the drums together. I'm going to group all the vocals and just set up a new session. So even just your environment's slightly different. So you're not like tweaking the same part over and over again.
Sure, yeah.
Committing to sounds, committing to like effects processing or whatever. And you'll find you'll never want to go back to the previous session. You'll just keep working with by just keep bouncing it down, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Almost like what you do with tape when you render like all the drums to one track on tape.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that's that then.
And you commit. So having a bit of that mentality to a digital environment is quite important, because you start listening differently. You start hearing differently, I think. If your session has just like hundreds of tracks, some of them aren't labeled, and it's a bit like a messy room.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's that thing? I can't remember where I left it. And you're wasting energy and inspiration on mundane stuff.
Yeah.
So just things like clean up the shit, bounce it, start again, you know. And then just doing stuff like that has really kind of given my tracks that have been sitting there for 3 years, just to give them a bit of life.
Okay.
Or just a bit of fresh perspective. I think it's perspective, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting. That's that's not one that I've heard before in terms of like just the visual element of like looking at it. It needs to be tidy.
Yeah, well, it's as well as that. I keep forgetting, at the end of a session, just like bounce the track. Bounce, by the way, because I keep forgetting that not everyone knows bounce. Bounce would be to render the track so you can put it on Dropbox, whatever. Just do a rough mix and just listen into the car. And it's like, that's how you should be listening to it, not looking at a fucking screen.
Yeah,
because that's when you are listening.
Yeah,
But it's amazing. I know it's really simple, and this is the thing you should always do. But I think when I'd open up the session and go, oh God, this again. It's like, but why don't I just listen to it in a different environment? Put on your headphones and take a walk, and then write notes about what needs to be changed, as opposed to looking, again, the analogy of just looking at a fucking kick drum. Because it's almost like
you're following it, aren't you?
You're following that, or if you're looking at an EQ curve, you're listening. Your ears are listening to a kick, and you're not listening to the entirety of what the essence of the song is.
Sure, yeah.
So getting away from the software, just turn your back to the screen, and you know what I mean. Just actually listen what's going on. But again, there's all these things that I need to remind myself all the time.
Yeah, we all fall in these pits, man. Definitely. I think we should listen to some of said music.
Oh,
don't
cheeky.
you?
I think that would be that'd be quite eventful. Yeah,
it would happen, and music would happen.
Yeah, music will definitely happen.
We will rejoice afterwards.
Yeah, let's shake the room and get the police down for noise. Complaints.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we do have a huge PA system set up in this room, so we can really shake things down.
The custom kicking back subwoofer.
Yeah. Exactly, man. Well, do you want to shuffle on over and get ready?
Yeah.
And cool. I will. I'll speak to our audience.
Beautiful.
Prepare them for what's about to happen.
Prepare them for the onslaught that will be.
Indeed.
Okay.
I shall see you in a second, Alan. So, of course, our guest today is Shunya. He's going to be playing some of his music for us now. You should go and check out his stuff online. I was having a rifle through on Spotify before. Sounded fucking awesome. If you're new to this episode and you've never watched us before, we put on a different artist every week. We do a live session with them. We have a chat with them in the podcast. It's a great resource for listening to all the new music that's going on in Manchester. So if you are listening on the audio podcast, follow us on there. If you're watching on YouTube, follow us on YouTube. We're trying to keep it going, keeping things fresh around here. Without further ado, though, I will give you our guest today, Shunya. Enjoy the music.
Hello, everyone. Hello, the World Wide Web. I am Shunya. From Limerick, Ireland, and I'm going to play 2 tunes and warble a little bit. Haven't done any warm-ups, so be gentle on me. But such is life. Here we go. That tune was called Tat Da. It's a word I made up. Beat the algorithm. Make up your own words. This next tune is called Out of a Cold. And it goes to something little like this. that's that. It went to something a little bit like that, kids.
So, where can people find your stuff online?
On all the ats, it's at Shunya Music on Instagram, Shunya Music on Facebook, Shunya Sound on Bandcamp, Shunya Sound on Twitter. And if you just go to www.shunyamusic.com, it will link you to all these great places from there. So go ahead and click that website, and it's going to be great. We're going to have a great time. I just know it.
Thanks very much, man.
Thank you. Doing a lovely thing here.
Hello and welcome back to episode 51 of the Kicking Back podcast. You have just watched a delightful live session from our guest today, Shunya. Woo!
Whoa, I'm sweating.
It was intense.
Yeah.
It was intense.
It was hot.
It was real hot,
It was
man.
really hot.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it, my friend.
Thank
it was
you.
Ballsy, to say the least. I didn't think it would be, because obviously I listened to your tracks on Spotify and what have you, and that, it's quite wild, some of it.
Yeah.
But then seeing it performed is kind of as a whole another layer of chaos.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I
Great.
enjoyed. I love the chaos. So tell us, so you played 2 tracks. Tell me about the tracks, what they were, all that sort of thing.
The first track, it was basically a jam that I had when playing live when I did a tour with Henge, the wonderful Mank Aliens. That was back 2018. We did an Irish tour and a UK tour, and I didn't do it as much for this tour that I'm currently on, but sometimes I would just improvise with a loop pedal, with violin or whatever, and I basically came up with that riff, and then I kind of, while I was on the tour, I just kept adding to it. And then by the end of the tour, it was like a fully fledged tune. So it was quite cool. It was one of those things where it was like a process that like kind of started from a very, very simple seed, and I just kept adding to it. But it was like whilst gigging, basically.
Oh, sweet.
It happened. I wrote it on the stage, basically. It was really cool. And then I went back home and fleshed it out properly.
Sure.
So it was just kind of like a jam. There's no lyrics, so I'm kind of going bap dap da 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 da. I just couldn't get any lyrics for the life of me. I was like, well, I'll just mouth it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I love. How do you know Tigran Hamasyan?
A better hobo? Who?
Tigran Hamasyan, the pianist.
How do we spell that?
Oh, Tigran. Tigran. Hamasyan. Ham.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this wrong. It could be Asyan. I could be very wrong there. He's Armenian.
And what does Tigran do?
He's an outrageous pianist, jazz classical pianist, but he sings, but he doesn't do any lyrics. He just goes whoa, he just goes low lows and yeahs and yeahs. And he just plays with he just doubles the melody with his right hand, with his voice and the melody. He just sings along with the piano.
Sure.
I was like, oh yeah, why can't I just do that with the violin? Just sing the melody. Just go blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And lyrics aren't. I don't write lyrics a lot, so but I do like singing. So if I could just mouth some nonsense, I have a lot of songs that are mouthed nonsense. They're just kind of random association. Lyric writing where I just pick random words that sound funny and then just string them together. A bit like the David Byrne Talking Heads, Tom York kind of thing.
I got a bit of a like George Benson kind of vibe.
There was at one point, yeah.
Like not the cheesy George Benson side, but he's like. Have you ever watched any of them? Like there's like his YouTube like guitar lesson things. If you haven't, they're fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Because basically they're like trying to get him to explain how he does what he does. And obviously he's not thinking about it, he's just doing it. Yeah. And he's just, I don't know, you got to watch it, man.
Yeah.
He's a character.
I've seen it briefly, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I was getting a bit of that, a little bit.
Well, I think especially when soloing, it's like my mate Abel Saloutre, who I play do you know Abel, the cellist?
Yes, I do. He's fucking so talented.
He's great, yeah.
He's amazing.
So we have a band together called Chesaba.
Okay,
yeah. So I'm very busy with him basically for all of 2022, doing his solo stuff and then chess bass stuff. We've got collaborations with orchestras and stuff like that coming up. So that's another side. That's bass playing. That's, you know, a lot of bass.
Cool.
But he always says, you know, this cello is just a thing that I put my voice inside. You know, whether it's Bach or Jimi Hendrix, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
And he's dead right. It's like, you know, an instrument is, you have the melody in your head and you sing it, and then you go to your instrument to try get that
to translate it out. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's almost like if I'm soloing and if I'm not singing along, then the solo just seems like dribble. Because it's not, there's nothing lyrical or there's no phrasing to it. So I always look like I'm making hilarious jizz faces, like a lot of people are when they're soloing. But it's like there has to be that way. If I'm soloing, it's like it has to be a, you know, a tangible like breathing, you know. So that has to be directly injected into the instrument, because I have a weird thing with solo, and I was like, oh, this is just nonsense. This is just wank. It's just nothing. It doesn't seem significant. But then the minute you sing along and actually kind of put your voice into the instrument, then it starts making sense for me anyway.
Yeah, it's like the natural melody, isn't it?
Natural melody, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also I find I do less wanky stuff, i.e. blah, 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 because I'm not going to go blah, 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 in real life, am I? You know.
Well, you might do.
Well, I might do, yeah.
Occasionally, here and there. And so the second track, what was that?
That started off as a for a moment I did these things called Shunya sketches, where with my like MIDI interface thing that I built, what I say I built, it's an Ableton Live rig basically with lots of different controllers that are doing specific things. I just basically set up a shitty camera in my old house and then just improvised and then put it on YouTube and tried to edit it and do everything in an hour kind of thing. So tried to write music in real time basically.
Oh, cool.
And I did this jam, and it was like, oh, right, that's actually got a lot of legs. And it's this thing about like creativity like speed. It doesn't like, what about the middle eight? Should it be? It just get it out as fast as possible and then edit it later. Mm-hmm. So that was a bit of experiment. I'd like to get back into that actually, about more improvising and just slap it on YouTube. I just need to have a look at how it looks, because it looked quite shit, which is a big thing at the moment. You know yourself. Yes. You know, you guys, your podcast looks amazing. Even your little handles on YouTube, it's like, oh, that's slick. I can see that your man's jawline. You're like, wow, yeah, great piece of kit. That camera, beautiful piece of kit, 4K. But anyway, I digress. It came out of a jam basically.
Okay, yeah.
Another jam. With bass and vocals, and then the lyrics are quite personal. I won't get into them too much because it was about my brother and his trip that he went to. He went to Peru to do ayahuasca, and a thing happened to him. But I won't get into it. But it was just a very bizarre thing that, you know, he was perfectly fine and stuff.
Okay, right.
But a very, very significant thing happened to him there, and the lyrics are about that basically. And so actually that is one of those tunes where the lyrics, I do actually quite enjoy singing them, because these actually do mean something. So I do like lyric writing, something I will definitely delve into more. And then it kind of goes tits because the tune is all about something quite spiritual and, you know, describing the ayahuasca trip and the kind of floaty, melancholic nature, and then it just descends into absolute chaos and carnage at the end, which is meant to resemble what happened to him in the trip. In Peru, that's why it gets horrible and anxiety filled. But I love doing that bit. I love doing that live because again, I think that's kind of a lot of the sound system thing coming through there, and, you know, putting the violin through a lot of processing and playing it kind of like almost like a gamelan set almost. It's very fun. Yeah, it
looked like a lot of fun.
It's great.
Yeah. It was crazy, but I enjoyed it, Mum. I enjoyed it. So I was rifling through your Instagram before. There's some hilarious, very sarky comments and stuff that you put on there, which I enjoyed. particularly the supposed Alan Watts quote. That
Oh yeah, Big Boy Alan.
yeah.
It's Alan thing.
Are you into sort of like a Alan Wattsy philosophical kind
Love
of
them.
vibes?
Absolutely love him. That's where Shunya comes from.
Oh right, okay. Was
Not from him. He didn't. Obviously, it's Sanskrit Shunya or like Shunyata and different like dialects. There's lots of different ways you can say it, but it's Sanskrit for nothingness. So it's like this whole thing of like, in order to, get into a deep, it's like the concept of nothing, which is also, as you know, pretty hard for a human to, fathom. No, absolutely no thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So it was based on that, because he kind of goes and chats about that and how it's influenced to flow states, deep flow states,
Yes.
getting out of your own way.
Mm.
And at the time, Mammy and Daddy will be watching this, but I don't care. At the time, I was experimenting with lots of psychedelics when I was like 19, 20. And but like I wasn't taking psychedelics in a party way. It was like taking really quite high doses and then just listening to music and kind of evaporating,
Sure.
and experiencing ego death and all that. So it was just a time of my life. It's like he said that my mate was like, "Oh, check this, the whole concept of Shunya or whatever," and I was like, "Yeah, I want that. That's a great name." Or I just like the sound of it as well.
Yeah.
Maybe nowadays, with my relationship to the name, I'm not sure if I'd still have it, but it's one of those things. It's there now. Maybe because of, I'm not sure if it's anything got to do with cultural appropriation, but I'm not in any way. You know what I mean? I'm an Irish lad. I've no link to that part of the world,
Sure.
or like any of that type of, I don't know, the religious aspect of it. So I'm not sure if I'm appropriating or not. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
It's just 'cause it's that thing. Is it just nicking something and going, yeah, I'm going to take this? But it's it's there. It's fine.
Would you say like when you're doing your revising within the context within the context of your tunes and stuff? Do you think, because I think like when I think of all the most enjoyable musical experiences and stuff that I've had, and like the purest kind of when like you're in it.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
It is like flow state, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And just kind of, do you do anything, or like, is there any processes that you do to sort of put yourself in that headspace a little bit?
No, nothing. It's weird. It's like the David Lynch thing. It's like just going fishing, and sometimes you get a bite, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes you really land on it and you're flying. Flow states, it's a weird one. Either very good, decent sleep or no sleep, I find.
Oh, right, okay, interesting.
Honest to God, I don't know why. I can't tell you the amount of times I've done festivals and you're sleeping intense and you're getting like 2 hours sleep and the quality of sleep is awful and you wake up but you're still quite dreamy. And I've done gigs where, holy crap, the flow has just been like, and like the crack with the audience, everything is coming in and there's no Alan judging. You shouldn't be saying that, blah, 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 blah. You should be, zero of that. And then I think maybe you do a gig and you've had a long day and maybe you've had an argument with your other half and you're late and you're stuck in traffic and you go blah 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 and you're cursing and effing and you get up and you sound check is stressful, maybe your violin doesn't work, it's out of tune, a lead is broken, blah blah blah. You get on stage and you're completely out of whack, out of flow, because all of the things that have happened during the day, it's just kind of bit by bit, there's just been a few naggy things here and there, a few scruffs and scrapes. So by the time you get on stage, it's harder to get to that point.
Sure.
And then going back to lots of sleep, I find if I've had a really, really decent sleep, I'm very well rested, and the first thing I do is I go towards my instrument or go towards my setup and I'll improvise with eyes closed. And I haven't had any breakfast or not even a coffee or whatever thing. That's also a very, very good flow state, because you're still kind of getting the benefits of like late night, like no one's up, flow, but then you're with the benefits of having a very clear head from being really well rested. So I'd recommend that for people. Like, first thing you do in the morning, you just go straight and write something, even for an hour, and just see what comes out, because your brain hasn't fully woken up into, I need to do admin,
this
I need to
and,
let out the cat again, I need to buy milk, I need to. So you're kind of reaping the benefits of a clear head, and yeah, and usually a kind of a good flow state, you know.
It's interesting.
I find,
yeah, they are. I definitely think they're like so entwined. Even like with me, so like I do like meditation stuff. Like even just helps for like doing this, like
amazing, yeah.
podcasts and stuff is like just getting out of my head and actually genuinely just 100% listening to someone.
Being at your optimum.
Yeah, I get so much more out of people. It kind of feels like I'm manipulating people in a really subtle way
yeah.
by
You
just being completely.
should start a cult, Brad.
But just like being like, I don't know, there's a weird thing like just being there, being present, and there is a like a it gets reflected back at you, and you get a lot more out of it. It's
Definitely
weird voodoo shit that's going on, but
definitely
it works, man.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially with the creative process, like again talking about speed, like creativity, liking speed. You know, the only way you get valuable ideas is if you step out of your own way.
Yes.
There just can't be any doubt. If there's a slither of doubt, you're out of it. So that's why I think short bursts of writing or whatever it is, if you can get into a flow state, that's the one. Don't beat yourself up if you're not doing 4 hours of writing or whatever. Even if you do an hour of flow writing, that's way better than 4 hours of dicking about and scratching your arse and going, oh, I don't know, and beating yourself up, whatever. That's been my quote for the year: get out of your own way.
Yeah,
you know, it's the one, really, because
it's true.
It's the only way. It's the only way ideas happen.
Sure,
it really is. And then you edit, and then you put on your adult pants, and you right. Let's sift through this and what's shit and what's good. What's worth keeping. But definitely those two states of mind, they can't coexist with each other. They need to be separate.
Yeah, I get that, man. I agree 100%.
Absolutely.
So back in November, you took a little trip to the Ivory Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my geography is awful. Whereabouts is the Ivory Coast? In fact, James, pull up the Ivory Coast on the map.
Hey, James, can you pull up 2 crocodiles eating an ice cream on YouTube? This shit's whack. Check this out, Jamie.
So, yeah, what were you doing out there, man? How come you were going out there?
So, Ivory Coast, just to touch on it, it's in West Africa. It's beside Ghana, just Burkina Faso's above it.
Have we got it on there somewhere?
Yeah. There it is. Côte d'Ivoire. I said that incredibly offensively. I'm very sorry for anyone who's French there. It's a French-speaking country.
Okay.
So I was a bit lost at times. I don't have any French. I have a tiny bit of Spanish, awful Spanish. But so there was lots of nodding and like, wait. Oh, wait. Yeah, French, but also Bambara. Bambara's the main dialect as well.
Okay.
So I was there working on an album with my good mate Sidiki Dembele. And Sidiki Dembele is from the Ivory Coast. We were in Abidjan, which is the capital, and he owns land out there. And he lives in Manchester. He lives just down the road here.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of stuff is this?
It's West African, I suppose traditional West African stuff, but with the twist, because it's Sidiki's stuff, it's his compositions. But he's this band I mentioned earlier, Chesaba, that's Sidiki's involved in that. So it's me on bass, Sidiki on djembe, like West African percussion. He sings, and he also plays a beautiful instrument called the ngoni, which is a bit like a kora, but slightly lower and pentatonic. So it has 14 strings instead of the kora, which is 21 strings. So he juggles all those instruments, and then we've got Abel, not leading it, but we kind of all lead it in some ways. He plays cello and sings. So from that, he was like, "Oh, I want you to produce my solo album," because he had loads of songs that he wrote basically, and he's playing pretty much all the instruments himself, and then I play bass, and I'll be mixing it as well. And I basically went out there to record his family, do some bit more recording with him. He his brother built a studio in the complex that he has.
Oh, right.
So there's like a room within a room, all solely soundproofed and stuff. So I brought over all of my equipment, and one cable broke, and it rendered the whole thing useless.
No.
Fucking horrible.
Oh,
Man, my heart.
Oh.
It was such a... I brought mic stands. I brought,
Yeah.
you have cables that add up in weight. I brought everything. I brought my studio. Anyway, another story. We made do. I was recording his father. His father's a griot, and a griot is like, I suppose, like a musician and like a storyteller, basically.
Yeah.
And he plays a thing called the ngoni, the jali ngoni, which is a bit almost like a precursor to the guitar. It's almost like the original guitar. It's a bit like a banjo.
Can we pull? How do you spell that? Let's pull it up.
Yeah, jali ngoni, Jali ngoni, Ngoni. Jali ngoni. I bought one as well. They're really cool. Do you know the Gwimbri, the Moroccan Gwimbri? It's like gong gong dong gong dong gong gong. It's, you'd know to hear it. It's a bit of a kind of a precursor to that also, except there it is. Yeah, that thing there.
Ah, okay. And is it what, 4 strings? How many strings?
It's 4 strings, 2 strings that you finger, and then 2 resonant strings for like open.
Oh, cool.
But it's groovy as hell. It's
Sick.
funky. It sounds great, especially when you have someone playing it like properly, like his dad when he just played for us, and it was like, whoa. So I was recording him.
Sure.
There's no properly recorded stuff with his dad, and he's like a really, really well respected West African musician. So I said it to him. I was like, we have to come back, and I'm just going to do an album of your dad's songs. Because like, even if it doesn't get released, I think even just archiving this stuff, it's important, because these are old songs, like they go back hundreds of years,
Right.
and they're just groovy as hell. It's the original blues, really.
Okay.
It actually 100% is. This is where blues originates, and I think we owe so much to West African music in terms of how it's influenced. I think it's just a precursor of pop, jazz, all the Cuban stuff.
Yeah.
It all comes from West Africa during that time of slavery. They brought over all these instruments. It's mammoth. There's just so much of it. Is
this an area that you've like worked in before, or is this like quite a new experience?
It's like I'd never have thought I would have kind of gotten involved. I played lots of music out there as well. I played a lot of weddings. I managed we got a bass and we fixed it up, and I did loads of gigs out there, and it was amazing. But it was like they play for hours, like 8-10 hours minimum.
What?
Yeah, it was like straight through. Like my hands were falling apart, and the drummers, they don't take a break. Especially some of the lead djembe players. Sure. They were sat there, and they didn't get up for a piss or water, like 8 to 10 hours. It was like, whoa, with the ciggies hanging out their gob, It was unbelievable. It's like it. I think it was just that baptism of fire. If you really want to understand what the musical genre, like how it sounds and how it feels, like even just the sound of the djembe slapping off the walls, and it's that, this is the real deal. This is what it is. Yeah. It's like the age-old thing. If you want to study percussion, if percussionists have this loads, they go to the country, you go to Cuba. If you want to study congas, you go to a master, and it's no different. It was just a real, it was a really wonderful, life-changing experience, but not life-changing like, oh my God, I'm just so like different, and I'm just so, oh my God, I've like been to India, and it's blah, blah, blah. It was just like, oh wow, this is how music is integrated into how people live.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And how the two are intertwined, because I kind of find that, like, even going back to like Irish traditional music, I think the sing-songy nature of Irish, if you hear it spoke, it kind of sounds like traditional. It's very kind of like, and it's like, oh, but you're just emulating, a lot of the stuff you hear, like the jigs and the tunes. It sounds like people talking,
right?
You know what I mean? And I just think Yeah, it's that area of kind of like, oh, I get it now. And you're kind of when you get literally in the heart of what a music style is, when you hear everyone how they live their life and how they interact with each other, and how that couples with the style, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Hope I'm
man.
making sense.
Yeah.
So no, but previously I'm just mates with Siddiqui because I play with him, and then I learned West African stuff. Actually, no, I say that John Haycock, who you've had
Yes,
in here.
we have had John on. Yeah,
I first started playing kora tunes with him on cello,
Right.
and we busked around Europe. We did a small little album, a cello and kora duet album, and I played a lot with his master or his teacher Jali.
I've heard a lot about this chap.
Yeah, so Jali Piccadilly they call him because he's always in Piccadilly. He's busking.
Yeah.
And I would just sit in with him and play with him in Piccadilly and stuff like that. So no, there definitely was a big love for a lot of the kora stuff, the kora music, which I think is just unbelievably beautiful. It's I call it micro and macro music. So you can have it on in the background, this kora stuff, and it's just, you can study to it, or you can do the dishes, whatever, and it's just the background, or you can really zoom in and listen to it, and it's like so complex and like virtuosic, and it's got, I think it's quite cool in that sense. So yeah, I was out there working on his album.
Is that
enjoying it?
Is it going to be when's that looking to be?
We've got a few more tracks to finish, and I think it's up to him basically what he wants to do. I'm not sure if he's going to do it with the label. I think he might do a self-release, but Siddiqui has got a very big following as a djembe player anyway.
Right.
Kind of all over the place. I mean, we did a gig in Cape Cod, which is like just outside of Boston. We were playing with the Cape Cod Symphony Orchestra, and like there was like two of his fans. Siddiqui, I was like, fucking hell, man, you've got mates everywhere we go in the world. He's got his fans waiting outside for him. Because he'd be up there at one of the best. It wouldn't be wrong to say that he's one of the best djembe players in the world, without a doubt.
Fuck.
World renowned.
Okay.
Yeah, he's really serious.
Could we get him on the podcast, do you think?
You should. You absolutely should.
I'm well up for branching out and just like, you know what I mean?
He'd be great to get on. He's a really interesting dude as well.
Okay.
He owns it. As well as in Ivory Coast, he owns a dance school as well.
Oh, okay.
He does loads for his community, and he's a real interesting dude.
I'm gonna pick your brain about that after this.
Definitely.
Have you got any stuff that you're going to be releasing anytime? Are you recording stuff at the moment?
Like mentioned previously about like finishing stuff.
Yeah.
I've just give myself a big slap on the wrist. Turning 30 and then going into the new year, and then getting this new space has been quite pivotal. Is that the word?
Yeah.
So I don't want to say any dates yet.
Sure.
But there's loads of stuff there, and there are videos accompanying and stuff like that. It's all just gathering all the bits.
Okay.
I'm gonna say later this year, let's say winter 2022, baby. That's gonna be the big one. Yeah, just you wait, honey.
Amazing. You know what? We're gonna wrap this sucker up here because
do it.
It's been delightful.
Yeah, because you're bored.
I'm not.
Let's wrap this up because I just realised I need to do a poo. So
in so many words.
Yeah. Metaphorical one.
One more time for the people at home in this camera here. Tell them where they can find your stuff online.
www.gov.co.uk. Enter the portal and you shall find me there. Enter the government portal. No, you can find me on the easiest way is go to shunyamusic.com, and then from there you've got all the links. But if it's Instagram, it's Shunya Music, Facebook Shunya Music, Twitter, I'm never on it, Shunya Sound. You'll see a tweet I did in 2014 going, I'm hungry, or something mundane like that. That's the most you're going to get from me from Twitter.
Okay.
I'm not angry. That's why I'm not on Twitter, you see. I'm not angry.
Angry people are on Twitter. It's so true, man. I do have one more question
Sure,
before
yeah.
we wrap this sucker up. If you could sum this podcast up in 3 words, what would it be?
Northern,
Northern.
hug,
Hug.
brew.
Nice. Northern hug brew.
I was going to either hug or warm,
Yeah, yeah.
but you got a warm vibe. I think you've well done with the colors. I'd say I'm really bad with branding and colors. It's like I just don't care about it.
Sure.
You know, everyone's like with my own stuff. You need a brand. You need a branding. What is it? I'm like, I like red. I like the color red. Do you like red? I like red. It's just red. But no, the your choice of colors is good because when I think about this podcast, I immediately get the tone based on your color choice. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that it kind of reminds me of warm.
Yeah, I think we were going, like, the vibe I would say is like your grandma's house in like 1970 kind of, you know.
Go on, love, come and have a brew.
Yeah.
But got pet on. Yeah, sorry, I have this pathetic northern accent. You should just do some more ASMR stuff where you're slowly drinking
Just more tea.
into the mic. Yeah. 5 hours of ASMR, Bradley.
It's a huge cup to drink out of constantly.
5 litres.
Yeah.
Earl Grey.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
No, thank you very much
really
for having
has.
me. And like I said, it's a beautiful thing you're doing.
Thank you, man.
Keep at it, man. It's great.
I look forward to hearing your new stuff in the winter of
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah. Snuggle, hunker down.
Yes.
Shunya is back in town.
Excellent stuff, man. No, thanks very much again, bro. And I'm sure we'll see each other at
Absolutely.
some point again.
Shall.
Thank you all for watching at home. I hope you enjoyed it. Go and follow Shunya's music on all platforms and give him the love and support that he wants and needs. 3.
3 likes. Give me 3 likes.
Oh, sorry. James just like said 3. And I was like, what does
I've actually
that...
got 2 fans, not 3. Thanks very much.
So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed Shunya's music. Go and follow it online. Follow us. We're putting out different artists every week. That's all I've got to say. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you again very soon. That's all. Goodbye.
Bye.